Good evening. This is Andrew Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona with Spiritual Image Productions on Facebook Live and YouTube. Aloha and welcome to my monthly, my yearly, my, I don't know, something update. That's just the point. I know, I guess it's been 2 or 3 weeks, but believe it or not, I think I need to go ahead and do a video to catch up with all the movies that I've been watching, but that's besides the point. Today, I want to talk about Dia de los Muertos. If you don't have an order form here, you can get it on my website, spiritualimageproductions.com. Spiritualimageproductions.com. On the right-hand side, you'll see a little GIF, and aloha, Deborah. Thanks for stopping by. You'll see a little GIF. You can click on that and download this form, and either do a little prayer and ritual on your own and burn it on November 1st, or email it to me, or send it to me snail mail. My address is on my website. You can send it to me before November 1st. Make sure it gets to me before November 1st, or maybe on. No, it has to be before, because I'll have to go print them up if you're going to email them to me. But anyhow, on the form, and to me again, Halloween is the commercialized version of Dia de los Muertos, when you honor and celebrate those that have already, your loved ones that have already departed, that have already gone on and transcended, and that's what you do on the prayer form. You write down, list all the people that have departed that you want to celebrate and honor for this Dia de los Muertos, and then put down all the stuff that you want to release and let go, any griefs or losses or whatever. And then you put down the things that you want to manifest into your life, that you want to bring into your life within the next year. And so, and assumably, when you honor all your loved ones, that they come back and they support you as well, and it's kind of, they return that honor as well. So it's kind of like that. So anyhow, again, you can either grab that form and fill it out and send it to me, snail mail or email, and I'll get it. And as long as I get it before November 1st, then I'll include it. On November 1st, I'm going to do a ceremony, and in fact, I got my own urn and all that stuff, and I do a little prayer and then burn them and send them out into the universe, so that for the next year, your loved ones will be celebrated. But that's besides the point. So anyhow, the next thing I want to talk about is the NAU, Northern Arizona University homecoming, which is going to be this weekend. Now, years ago, like back in the day, I went to my own homecoming, high school homecoming, and I think junior high too as well. I don't remember, but anyhow, that was a whole different ball. Well, I don't know if it was much of a different ball game. I think it was. So anyhow, this year, for the first time, I'll be participating in homecoming at any college homecoming, which I've never done before. So it'll be interesting just to see, just check it out and be up with all the other alumni that are going to be there and hanging out and just whooping it up, right? So they actually started it, the ceremonies, the celebrations tonight in town in Flagstaff. I don't know what they did, but they did a number of things to celebrate, and then tomorrow they're going to have a dedication. I can't remember who the guy was, but and I was going to grab that and I just forgot. But anyhow, there's some guy they're going to be doing a dedication to tomorrow. They're going to be having a banquet, which I'll be participating in, and then on Saturday they're going to have a parade, their own homecoming parade at NAU. And then they're going to have a breakfast, an alumni. I don't know if it's alumni breakfast or just breakfast for everyone in general, but I'll be participating in that. And then they're going to have a parade right afterwards, and then they're going to have a tailgate party. Again, if you haven't heard some of my stuff prior to, earlier I for the first time, I went to a tailgate party at NAU a few weeks ago, and that was kind of interesting. So I'll be going to another tailgate party, and I think I'm becoming a professional or experienced or a veteran tailgate partier now. So it's interesting how that's working out. And then I'll be actually going to the football game afterwards. NAU is going to be playing Portland, I believe. And so I don't know, if they're a tough team or not. I don't guess so, because I don't ever hear them be in the playoffs. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. And I don't know that NAU is a tough team or not. But I guess we'll figure it out when we get there. So that's going to be a busy weekend. And then next November, and on November 1st, next week, I believe, I'll be doing a ceremony for Dia de los Muertos. I'm probably going to do a meditation too. I'm not sure. And then just in case, I should show you. I am. I'm going to show you right now, just for you people. And not that I'm necessarily promoting Halloween, because I think, again, it's a commercialized version of Dia de los Muertos. But as you can see, I decorated my front door, so now I'm in Halloween mode. The trick-or-treaters will come and scare the crap out of me, but that's besides the point. And then I have some candies, as you can see right there, for for the kids. Actually, they're for me, but that's besides the point. I'm just pretending like they're for the kids and just eating them as I go along. But there'll be some left by the time the kids get here, I'm sure. But that's besides the point. So anyhow, it's going to be an interesting, busy week. Now, one of the things, there's a couple of things that I really, really need to mention, and I think it's important that people really come into their power, breathe in their power, be in their power, and really think about what's going on in life, in their life, in the life of people here on this planet. First of all, the Varsity Blues, which is the whole thing, healing and prayers go out to Felicity Huffman, who just went to jail or prison, I guess, a few days ago, and she's now doing her time, a whole 13 days. I don't know. There was another young woman, a black woman. I don't know if that's socially correct, and I'm not trying to be rude about it, but African American. I mean, she may not even be African American, but she is dark. But that's besides the point. So anyhow, she was sent to prison for like 5 years, I think, 3 or 5 years or something. It was an ungodly amount of time, because she wanted to. She did something so her son would be able to go to a different school district, and I guess and I'm assuming to protect him, right? This is for protecting her kid, and she was sent to jail. She was sent to prison for 3 to 5 years, I think. I can't remember. I don't remember the story, but it's in there. And for Felicity Huffman to go to prison. Aloha, Carolyn. Thanks for stopping by. And anyhow, for go live with. I don't know. Do you want to go live with me, Carolyn? Bring Carol. Okay, let's try this. I don't know. I don't ever do this stuff. But anyhow, sorry about that, Carolyn. But anyhow, Felicity Huffman is going to prison for 13 days for all the crap that's going on with this college fraud, SAT test and stuff. And 13 days, well, I think they're charging her $25,000. And so, that's the difference. She's paying, what, $25,000 plus 13 days jail. And this other woman probably doesn't have any money. So they're going to send her to prison for 5 years, 3 years, whatever. It's like, what bullshit, right? That's what I say. So anyhow, I don't think that's cool at all. where do you draw the line with justice, with equality, and so forth? So it is what it is. So not cool. Now, earlier I was reading some information about the possibility, the idea of India going to war with China, which I think if that happened, I think India would get demolished. No offense, nothing personal, but I think they would get wiped out because China's got a lot more experience with war than India does by far. I'm pretty sure. But in this day and age, for people to be thinking about war, that's ludicrous, right? For even to be thinking about World War III or huge war, that's outrageous. So I put it if you go to my Instagram, either Spiritual Image Productions or Andrew Aloha, I put a memo on there. I put a post on there about sending out love, light, prayers, healing, good intentions to all the leaders on the planet, and asking that the masters and saints be their hands, words, and deeds, actions, words, and deeds, and mouths and bodies, as leaders, so that they can make good choices, the right choices, right healthy choices. So that's what needs to happen. People need to be leaders need to be making right healthy choices, and the corruption, the greed, all the bullshit needs to stop like yesterday. They need to be leaders of men and be of service to the people, and not just to themselves and to their family and friends. What a bunch of bullshit. So anyhow, that's what needs to happen. And so I implore you to put out, just take a few minutes, couple minutes, even a couple of minutes, and just send out some love and light to these people, that they make right healthy choices. And so our future is much more definitely tolerable, but much more healthier than it is right now. And I don't know that it's a good healthy future that we have right now with climate change and all this other stuff. It's real. Some of this stuff is real, and even though it seems far-fetched or larger than life type of thing, people really just need to sit down and send some light and love, literally regularly every day, for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to the world, to the leaders on this planet, so that we're able to function as a whole, not all these fragmented parts and dysfunctions and abused stuff, and that's what's happening. A lot of the leaders that are taking position, they've been abused, when they were kids or whatever, and so they're abusing everybody else. So where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? So anyhow, a big congratulations to Jennifer Lawrence. Wow. But she's right on target. She's 29 years old, generally around 27, 28, 29, possibly 30 years old. Most people, especially women, get married, or they'll buy a big house. But usually what happens around that age, the soul comes in and takes over and starts bleeding into the lifestyle of those individuals. And so, and then beyond that, the soul, is taking over and living out the rest of the time from there on out. But again, most people, especially women, get married around 27, 28, 29 years old. So she's right on target. And I had already predicted that weeks ago, months ago. Because I looked at her age, I thought she's 28. I think she was 28 at the time, and I said, she's going to get married pretty soon. I don't know to who, but she's going to get married. And sure enough, she just got married less than a week ago, I believe. And apparently it was a really nice wedding. So congratulations to the both of you. Who I can't remember her husband's name, but anyhow, I'm sure that that they'll have many moments of amazing stuff going on in their life. So that'll be good. So anyhow, I went and watched a number of movies. Some of them at no, all of them were either at on Redbox or on Vudu. I've been watching a lot of movies on Vudu lately, and they seem to have a lot of movies. They have commercials in between, you know, like regular television, but it's not as drawn out as like television. But they have a lot of movies on Vudu that definitely is a lot better than Netflix. Netflix is filled with nothing but TV series, which is such crap. You know, oh yeah, I'm gonna bore you with all my television series. Oh, okay, fine, whatever. Kiss my ass. That's what I say. But anyhow, Stuber, I rented out a Redbox. Oh my God, hilarious. It just came out this year. This guy, I think his name is Steve, and so and he drives for Uber, right? So they call him Stu. This guy calls him Stuber. He works at this other store, some kind of hardware store or something like that. Actually, it's a sporting goods store, I think. So anyhow, Dave Bautista is the cop that's chasing all these bad guys, and Camille Nanjiani is the Uber driver, right? So Dave Bautista rents Uber to go and do his police work, right? His car gets bashed or crashed or something like that, so he rents the Uber, and they take off on this whirlwind of action activities going on. So and they're involved with all these drugs, all these bad guys, and I think there's mafia and all this stuff, and it's a crack up. Oh my God. I don't know if Camille, I think Camille, I don't know, Kumail. He, I think he may have had a hand in writing this, because his last movie that he did, I can't remember what it was, but it was really good and it was funny. And I don't know if it won any awards, but if it didn't, it was just because politics, you know, that's bullshit, because it had a lot of really good stuff in it. So this does too. This has a lot of humor. Mira Sorvino, Karen Gillan, Natalie Morales, Betty Kilpen are all in it, and it's just a mirage of all these hilarious action-packed stunts or things that happen in there. So it's really funny. Now Aladin. That would have been a good, if it's still in the movie theater and you want to watch it, go do it, because that would be a really good movie to watch in the movie theater. Oh my God, the special effects, the animations. This was a really good movie for Will Smith, who was the genie, right? And so and then Mina Moussaoud, Naomi Scott, Nassim Pedrad. Those were all good parts for them. If you know, most people have watched Aladin before, and if your kid hasn't watched it, or even your teenager, go take them to see it or rent it out at Redbox. And I'm telling you, it's just a really just good music, good, and of course Aladin, the story itself is a good story anyhow, and so just really well done. You know, it's like one of those movies, you know, like I don't know all the movies, but some movies just get remade over and over and over. And you know, how many movies of what's that big lizard? What's his name? Just came out in the movies. Anyhow, you know, how many times can you remake Batman or Superman, and you know, Spiderman? But this is like probably the best version of Aladin that I've ever watched. So and it's all you know, real life animation type of thing, and I mean it's pretty well done, Anyhow, the next movie and that came out in 2017, the Professor. I got that at Redbox. Wow, the dialogue, the screen, whoever did the screenwriting for that did a great job. Amazing stuff. and the music was matched for the time frame, for time period. It wasn't like, you know, modern day type of stuff. It was music that was from that time frame, and apparently, I don't know, and this is like, there's two movies that I watched that were like this. That I don't know if they were based on true life events, which I think they were, but it doesn't say that they were. And in fact, at the end of the movie, it says all the names and all the events were fictitious. So, and if there's anything similar or like it, it was because it was just coincidental. So, but there was some stuff at the end where it shows the people that were the real life versions of the people, of the characters in the movie. So I don't know, but anyhow, it was really well done. Johnny Depp, Rosemary DeWitt, Odessa Young, Danny Houston, Zoe Deutsch, and Ron Livingston. This was a really good part for Johnny Depp. He's a professor. He finds out he has cancer, so he goes and whoops it up. He gets drunk. He gets high in his class, you know, in his college class, and all this stuff going on. And his wife is having an affair, but they decide to transform it into a polyamorous relationship instead. So and you know, a lot of times when people are having a hard time with each other in a relationship, sometimes that's just the best thing. Go polyamorous mode. That way you're not screwing around behind each other, and everything's on the table. And if you can deal with that, sometimes that's just the best plan of action. Other times, you know, people can't deal with that, and it's just better to part ways or resolve and hash out what's going on there in the relationship. So there's always choices, right? And then Baywatch, 2017. Dwayne Johnson, Zac Efron, Priyanka Chopra, Alexandra Daddario, Kelly Rohrbach, Lifnesh Hadera, and John Bass. You know, for those of you that are not old enough to have watched the new episodes of Baywatch back, you know, the TV series back in the day, this is a continuation of that. But they're, you know, they discover all these drugs, and they hire new recruits, and all this maze of stuff happens, and this one guy, what's his name, Zac Efron, he's some kind of Olympic champion, and all of a sudden his life goes to crap because he's drinking, and all this stuff happens, and he throws up during one of the competitions. He throws up and loses the match, so for the whole team, and so he's basically hung out to dry, and he ends up with this other group, and he learns how to become a team member instead of just doing things on his own or for himself, being selfish, right? So it's like that. So anyhow, Ride, I just watched that about 2 days ago. Helen Hunt, Brenton Thwaites, Luke Wilson, David Zayas. Helen Hunt, her kid dies when somehow something happens, and the kid is like 3, 4, 5 years old, and he drowns or chokes or something. I don't know what exactly. It wasn't very clear, but so she has another kid, and she's like PTSD mode, right? She sits right next to the room, make sure all night long to make sure he's okay and it doesn't die. And you know, this is going on for all his life till he's like 17, 18 years old. Then he goes off to college, but he doesn't want to go to college, so he goes to California and wants to be a surfer. Well, they're both writers, and Helen Hunt is a writer for some major company. She gets paid really well, and so the kid goes out to California. He says he's going to go to college there and blah blah blah, all this stuff or whatever, and he ends up being a surf guy because he wants to do the surf thing, right? And so and then Luke Wilson comes into the picture. He's there, and then David Zayas is the limo driver. So he's driving her everywhere 24/7, like for days, like for weeks. I don't know how long, but anyhow, and Helen Hunt goes there to spy on her kid because she finds out he's not going to school or doing this job or work whatever. So she goes over and spies on him, and she gets caught, and so she ends up surfing instead and learning how to surf. And so anyhow, the kid ends up going back to New York to go to college, and she ends up staying there and relocating back to California, where she's really enjoying it. She has this thing going on with Luke Wilson, so she decides to relocate. So anyhow, hey, the air quality is good here now. That's good here in my apartment. So let me see. Eat, Pray, Love, 2010. That's an older movie. Julia Roberts, James Franco, Richard Jenkins, Viola Davis, Billy Crudup, and Javier Bardem. Julia Roberts, I can't remember. Anyhow, she just loses everything, I think, and she just wants to go find herself. So she decides to go on this spiritual quest and goes to all these. I can't remember. It was India, Thailand, or whatever. And she decides she's going to go find herself. She goes and follows this guru out there and finds her place and starts to meditate and all this stuff. And so anyhow, she goes on this mirage of a journey in this process, and finally comes to a point where she's accepting of herself enough to want to just be where she's at, what she's doing. So. And I can't remember if she stays there in Thailand or whatever, but she finally comes to a place where she's at peace, and then the movie ends. Love and Other Drugs, one of my favorite all-time movies. Anne Hathaway, Jake Gyllenhaal, Oliver Platt, Hank Azaria, Josh Gad, Judy Greer, Catherine Winnick. Now, this movie is very interesting because it's like somebody literally took a camera and recorded this whole relationship that I had with a woman in California. She had essential tremors, and I was doing the businessman thing, even there's a part where he just hugs her. And which I did in my journey with this woman. At some point, we were at some place, and she just was throwing a fit. So I just hugged her. Hug therapy, that goes a long way, believe it or not. So I just hugged her, and finally she gave in, and she was accepting enough to move forward and move on with our relationship. So with each other, and then there was another part I can't remember, but it was like literally somebody just took a movie camera and then put it on film, put it on the movie theater. So it was pretty interesting how that worked out. Except I didn't become a millionaire like this guy did, but that's besides the point. So anyhow, in the pursuit of happiness, 2006, Will Smith, Jaden C.S. Smith. That's his son, his real life son. So he's and this was based on a true story as well. The true stories are usually the best because they have details in them that you wouldn't see otherwise unless it was a true story, right? So it's like that. But anyhow, Will Smith, he's with this woman. They have a kid. She's a nurse. She's working her butt off, and things just keep getting deeper and worse for him. Finally, it's out in the street with this kid. And they're at this Subway, and they're in a bathroom. That's where they stay for the night, right? So he, I think Dean Witter, I can't remember the company, but anyhow, he goes and applies for them, and he has to go through all this training and all this stuff. And only 2 people get picked for it out of all the people that train for the job. And so after all the crap he went through, and all the stuff that he worked through, he managed to get the job in the very end, and then go from there. And I don't know what the success rate where this guy is in real life now, other than they show at the end of the movie that he gets the job and he moves on. So really just gripping movie, I think, is a good word. So now Dan in real life, Steve Carell. This is back in 2007, and the Pursuit of Happiness is 2006. 2007, Dan in real life, Steve Carell, Juliette Binoche, Dane Cook, Alison Pill, Brittany Robertson, Marlene Lawson, and Diane Weist. This father, he loses his wife. I can't remember how, but he's widowed. He has these 2 girls, and they're both, no, I think it's 3 girls. I take it back, 3 girls. They're the older ones are mad at him, and then eventually the younger one gets mad at him too, right? They're all mad at him. They go to his mom and dad's for, I don't know if it's holiday or just a vacation or whatever, but anyhow, they go over there, spend a few days, and then Steve Carell runs into Juliette Binoche, and somehow they hit it off right at this bookstore. Turns out that Juliette Binoche is also Dane Cook, his brother's girlfriend at the time, right? And but they have this spark that goes on, and so anyhow they work through that, and at the very end they end up getting together. Anyhow, Dane Cook and Juliette Binoche break up, and so Steve Carell comes back into the picture, and comes into the picture, and they end up getting married at the end or whatever. But anyhow, interesting movie. Let me see, Windtalkers. Now that was interesting as well. 2002. Nicolas Cage, Adam Beach, Noah Emmerich, Mark Ruffalo, Christian Slater, and Roger Willie. These, there's these Navajo Indians, 2 Navajo Indians at the beginning of the movie. They jump on the bus and they join the military, and they become Windtalkers. Basically, they back in the day they used Navajo language to communicate secret messages in the military during the war, so that way they could do different things. And so anyhow, Adam Beach, I believe, and Noah Emmerich are both the Navajo Indians, and I can't remember. One of them ends up getting killed in the end. But they sent him to this island. I think it was an island or just some small area that needs to be overtaken so that they can win the war or whatever. And so they go in and they're able to conquer most everybody on the island. And then when they get to the very end, there's a huge battle that takes place, and the Windtalkers were the reason that all their troops were saved, because they were able to communicate this message and have all this I think it was air power, the Air Force come in and bomb these people so that they can win that whole island. So Nicolas Cage at first, he's in this other war, and then they recruit him to do this special assignment with these 2 guys, and his only assignment was to make sure that his Adam Beach wouldn't get killed. And then Noah Emmerich was I can't remember if it was Mark Ruffalo or Chris. I think it was Christian Slater that was his guide, and his only mission was to make sure he didn't die, so that they can make sure the messages got translated. So at the very end, Nicolas Cage tells Adam Beach exactly what the coordinates and all this stuff, what to do in terms of the air raids, and Adam Beach translates that and gets that message across to the Air Force, and then that's what actually wins the war on that island. And so and in the very end, Nicolas Cage, oh poor guy, he dies, but that's beside the point. So anyhow, I don't. Yeah, that was a true event, a true story thing, and so very intense. Wow, very intense, and to know that that's based on true events, it's pretty mesmerizing, pretty amazing. So anyhow, Elf. Now, if you getting into the holiday spirit, that's amazing movie to watch. And Will Ferrell it's like Jesus, right? He's a baby and he somehow gets put onto the front door of the elves, right? Of the elves in the North Pole, and they teach him how to do toys and all this stuff. And Will Ferrell is the elf, right? Yeah, but he's only like 6'1" or whatever, 6'2", 6'6" or whatever. Yeah, but he's an elf, right? They accept him and make him into an elf, and it's pretty funny. And James Cain is actually his real father. He's like this entrepreneur, in New York or something like that. And Will Ferrell goes on a journey to go find him. So he does. He finds him, and all this stuff takes place. And, Bob Newhart, Ed Asner, Mary Steinberger, Zoe Deschanel, Daniel Trey, Peter Dinklage. It's a pretty funny movie, and especially if you want something fun to watch for the holiday season, that's one of them. There's plenty of them out there. Anyhow, Three Kings back in 19. Now this is an older movie, and even Elf was 2003, but 1999, Three Kings. George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, Ice Cube, Spike Zonz, Nora Dunn, Jamie Kennedy, Judy Greer. These guys, George Clooney, and I somehow Mark Wahlberg and Ice Cube are all the Three Kings, right? They end up doing some kind of mission in the East, Middle East or whatever, and they hear about this gold. And guess what happens when people know that they can get to some gold or money, right? People get greedy. So that's what they do. They go out and they find this, and they're getting ready to retire, I think. And so they go and find this gold, and anyhow, a whole mirage of events takes place, and the people from that area that are imprisoned or enslaved, they end up figuring it out, and so they give all the gold to them, and then they take it all back on the border. At the very end, they end up crossing the border to Iran or Iraq, I can't remember. Anyhow, they go to where they're safe, and they're no longer prisoners, and so and with them they have the gold. Wow, millions of dollars worth of gold, right? So anyhow. Very interesting and very intense movie, and funny, pretty funny, and lots of drama. Let's see, Richie Rich. Now, if you got kids, Macaulay Culkin, Edward Herman, Christine Ebersole, Jonathan Hyde, John Le Carré, Michael McShane, Maria Angela Pino. Is there somebody else? Oh, and Steffi Lindbergh are all. This little kid is born rich, and his dad, he has. I mean, like, talk about being born with a silver spoon in your mouth. So it's like that, and he gets everything, but he doesn't have any friends, right? Because he doesn't live a normal life. His whole life is all about being an entrepreneur and making money and living a wealthy lifestyle, right? So, but he doesn't have any friends. So somehow, but he likes baseball. So that his dad does teach him how to play baseball, and so he ends up running into these kids that are from the hoodlum or whatever, and they're playing baseball, and he wants to go play with them, but the kids won't let him play baseball with them, right? You're too rich for us, dude. Get out of here, right? So it's a funny movie, and they go through all this world things. His parents get kidnapped, and they're gonna. John, what's his name? John Larroquette is a miser. He's a jerk. He's a real prick. He wants to take over the whole company. So he kidnaps the parents, and he tries to kill them, but he doesn't kill them. But Macaulay Culkin, smart kid, he figures out how to find them and get them back and take over the whole company back over again, because John Larroquette takes over the company in their absence, and so anyhow, there's what a total prick, right? So anyhow, Little Giants. Oh my, these kids, you know, they joined a little league, right? Or the Pee Wee football team, right? They all practice and rehearse, and then the team is chosen by the coach, and they don't choose these kids, right? There's a whole handful of them, right? So they said, screw it, we're going to make our own team. In the meantime, Rick Moranis is the brother of one of the coaches, right? Of the coach, the main coach of the team. And he said, well, screw it, we'll make our own team. So he does. He coaches them. Ed O'Neill, Shaina Waldron, Devon Sawa, John Madden, Steve Emmett. No, I don't know if that's real or not. Maybe it's a misspell. Emtaman. You know, Emmett Smith, Tim Brown. They're all in this movie, and they go. We can only have one little league team in town. They go, well, we'll scrimmage you, and whoever wins gets to be the official team. So of course, the Rick Moranis team wins the game, and they go on to victory. Now the rest of the movies, I'm only going to talk of a few of them. Yesterday, this came out this year. Hamish Patel, Lily James, Ed Sheeran, James Corden, Ana de Armas. I was disappointed. I expected. I thought, well, this is going to be a good movie because this guy, and there's this whole time travel or parallel universe thing going on, and so he gets, something happens. He's in an accident, and then all of a sudden he wakes up and he's in a parallel universe. Nobody knows who the Beatles are, right? So he starts playing all this music by the Beatles, and all of a sudden everybody's going, wow, that's cool, play some more. And so pretty soon he's becoming really famous. He gets all these contracts, all these deals, music deals and all this stuff. And he ends up turning it all down because he's in love with Lily James, and so blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I was disappointed in that they only played like half a song or a quarter of the song. And I don't think they ever played one whole song at all, period. So, you know, come on. If you're going to play the Beatles, play the Beatles. For God's sake, what the hell? So, anyhow, it was like that. Spider-Man, Away from Home, Tom Holland, Samuel L. Jackson, Marissa Tomei, Jake Gyllenhaal, Zendaya, Kobe Smulders, John Favreau, Jacob Batalon, Tony Revolori, and Anjori Rice. Again, it's like the Avengers, the latest one that came out. The only reason that it was even that popular or popular at all was because they have all these celebrities in there, right? And you know, it's like social media, right? If you have 1 million fans, then you're going to draw a crowd. Absolutely, if you're in a movie. So if you have 25 people that have 1 million fans and everyone brings something to the table, of course you're going to have a popular movie. And regardless of how good the movie is or isn't, it's still going to be popular, right? So it's like that. You know, there was some nice, interesting special effects, but the overall content, you know, the overall plot, it was okay. It was kind of lame. No, it was lame, but not kind of. It was lame, but that's besides the point. You know, Spider-Man wants to take a vacation, but he's not allowed to take a vacation because he has to be a superhero, whatever. And they don't, you know, they have a couple of intimate moments, but no really juicy stuff, right? Now tell me this. How can a superhero be in a really good, juicy, intimate scene? Really? Really? When? Whatever. So anyhow, that's how that was. So one last thing. Wendell Pierce, Journey, Smollett Bell, Joan Foggett. Oh my God, why can't I remember that? Time out. I have to go these movies, the rest of these movies were 1.5 all these, including Superman and let me see if I can find this. Redemption. Oh, one last thing. Wait, hang on. No, that was MILF, right? Is it? Germany with a beautiful, obnoxious supermodel. Oh, actually, that was kind of good, but I think it lacked lackluster in it. There was no real connection or excitement in it. One last thing, this guy Wendell Pierce, he's a dentist, and I believe in New York, and then he's searching for his so-called daughter. He was involved with some movie. Supposedly, she got pregnant, and supposedly it was his kid. And so anyhow, he's searching for her. He's got this guy, undercover guy, looking for her for like 20 years, and finally he finds her. But and so he connects with her, and they go out and do stuff, and he's finally being the dad that he never was for all these years. And then turns out they go do a DNA test. She's not her daughter, or not his daughter. So anyhow, she ends up becoming pregnant or something like that, or something, I can't remember what. But she no, she doesn't, because she turns to be lesbian or something like that. But anyhow, something happens, and she gets she needs a kidney or a liver, I think a kidney transplant. So he donates the kidney to her, even though he finds out that he's not the daughter, but they're still, their blood match and their kidney matches. So she gets the new kidney, and he ends up turning up and being her father anyhow. So anyhow, the Jurassic games, it's like back in the day, back in the, I don't know, 1800s, the 500 BC, AC or whatever. They have these games, right? And now it's interesting. Now this is an interesting concept, because they put all the people that are on death row in this game, and they only select certain people. They only have 10 people, candidates, and they ask them if they want to participate, and if they say yes, they're in the game. So it's like that. But you have to be somebody that's on death row. So anyhow, the last person that survives ends up being a winner, and they're released and free to go, and they're free to go into the real world and be whoever they want. So anyhow, of course, they have these people that don't want this game, and in the very end, there's some interesting special effects, some interesting games that they have in there, and and so some of the people are pretty obnoxious in this thing. 2018, Ryan Marin, Perry Reeves, Adam Hampton, Katie Burgess. And so anyhow, they have a revolution that comes in at the very end, and really does a number on them. But the Mustang, 2017, Matthias Schoenertz, Jason Mitchell, Gideon Adlin, Connie Britton, Bruce Dern. It's a true event. It was based on a true story. This guy, I don't know if it was Arizona, but anyhow, some prison, and I think it was in Arizona, but they part of the the rehab process has to do with taking care of horses. They take out these prisoners, and they make them into riders, and they learn how to break horses and train them so that they can sell them to different groups, mostly cops and that ride horses in town, and all these other groups to make money to help fund the prison and whatever else. So interesting story. Matthias Schoenertz ends up being the prisoner, and he's like really pissed off, right? And so he literally punches the horse, and I don't think he did that in real life, but in the movie, but anyhow, he's pissed off. He punches the horse, and the trainer, the guy that runs the show, and he goes, "Don't ever bring that guy back again. I don't ever want to see your face. Get out of here!" So he kicks him out, right? So something happens, and he ends up bringing him. There's a big storm, and they need all the hands they can get to help get the horses inside, so that they can be safe, right? And so they go, "Well, we need all the hands we can get," and they shove him out there to help bring in horses. And so he gets his job back, and he ends up learning how to train a horse, so that they end up. And they tried at the very end. They ended up trying to sell it, but all of a sudden there was this thunderstorm, right? And the horse. There was a helicopter, and the helicopter was one of the ways that they rounded up the horses. So the horse freaked out, and they ended up not selling the horse, and then the whole program got canned because of that. And then somehow they ended up bringing it back and redoing it and revising it so it's better for people. So anyhow, Trainwreck. This is another one of the movies that I have now. Amy Schumer, and this is back in 2017. Bill Hader, Brie Larson, John Cena, Tilda Swinton, LeBron James, and Vanessa Bayer. This is another one of those movies. It's hilarious. Amy Schumer is a real sleazeball, right? And a drunk, and I don't know that she's a drug alcoholic, but she likes to drink for sure. And so she gets sent out. She works for a magazine. She gets sent out to do a story on Bill Hader. He's a doctor, a physician that does this innovative surgeries on knees, right? So anyhow, they go through all this stuff. The funny movie. The reason that I gave it a 1.5 is because in it, which I thought was a line of shit, they bring in an intern, and the intern turns out to be 15, 16 years old or whatever. And I think 16 years old. So they bring him in to be an intern and train him how to be an intern. And then all of a sudden, towards the end, they're at a party, in a bar. So what's he doing drinking in a bar? How did he get in? And why is he drinking to begin with, right? What a line of shit. Bullshit. So anyhow, in it, somehow Amy ends up getting involved with this guy. She doesn't know he's 16 years old. So they're in the bedroom, and then the kid is like some kind of freak. He gets into S&M or something like that. He goes, "My safe word is pineapple." So he tells her, "Well, hit me," and she goes, "Okay." So she just barely smacks him, right? And then he goes, "Hit me," and then he just slaps her really hard, right? So she turns around and goes, "Bam!" and just punches him, right? So she's going. All of a sudden he's going, "Oh, mommy, pineapple." And the mom walks in on him, but so she end up getting fired. And in the meantime, she's supposed to write a story on Bill Hader, this physician, and she ends up writing it anyhow and sending it out to other places where she gets hired and she makes money off the story anyhow. So again, come on, what a line of shit. How is that kid going to get into the bar? So anyhow, Mad Max, Charlize Theron, Tom, and this is the 2015 version. Tom Hardy, Nicholas Hoult, Hugh Keys, Byrne, Riley Keough. Keough. That's Elvis Presley's daughter or granddaughter. Granddaughter, I think. So anyhow, Abby Lee, Courtney Eaton, Zoe Kravitz, Abby Lee, and I don't know if hang on, is there anybody else? Abby Lee Kershaw. So anyhow, interesting movie, about what can happen if this whole civilization on this planet went to hell, right? There's nothing left except. Now the interesting thing that it had all these old cars that were revised. It wasn't like, a Lexus, a brand new Lexus or anything like that. Even though this is one of those movies that takes place in the barbarian times, and there's all these really weird ways of living. They had all these old cars. I mean, I'm talking about, maybe 50s, 60s, 70s cars that were hot, fixed up into these hot rods, into these mobiles, I don't know what you want to call them, but they weren't new cars; they were older cars, which was an interesting way to use, to use cars like that. But they didn't have newer cars like they have for the 2019 or even 2000, right? So anything like that. So anyhow, Cake with Jennifer Aniston, Sam, and that's 2014. Sam Worthington, Adriana Baraz, Anna Kendrick, Britt Robertson, Felicity Huffman, William Macy, Felicity Huffman, and William Macy. They're they're husband and wife, and they're in that movie. But anyhow, this girl, a friend of Jennifer Aniston, who is Anna Kendrick, commits suicide, and in the meantime, she's involved in some accident having to do with Felicity Huffman or William Macy. I don't know, somehow he had something to do with the accident, and really and killing her kid and her husband, and really screwing up her back. And so anyhow, she goes through all this victimization. She goes to some self-help group, and they actually kick her out of the group because they go, "Well, you don't belong here. Go find another group," right? So it's like that. She goes all through all this stuff and about being a victim, and she hooks up with Sam Worthington, and anyhow, it was in the comedy section, and there was some funny stuff in it, but it wasn't a real comedy. It was more of a drama than anything else. So it was all right. Anna Kendrick keeps coming back as a ghost or a spirit type of thing, and talking to her and all this stuff, blah blah blah. And so Jennifer Aniston, she whenever she drives with people to go somewhere, she always laying back on her back because of her back, being screwed up or whatever. So in the very end, she finally goes. She sits up in the car and I've had enough. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna move forward. That type of thing. An actual sexual adventure. Jonas Chernick, Emily Hampshire, Sarah Menanin, and Vic Shahaya. Wait a minute. What was that movie again? Time Out. No, that's not what I wanted. This guy. What's his name? Jonas Chernick and Emily Hampshire are an item, right? So Emily's finding, she hasn't had too many guys. She goes, man, I can't handle this relationship anymore. So she ends up breaking up with him, and he's got this adventure, this vacation set up to go to this place, and she decides she's not going to go. She's going to break up with him. So he goes anyhow, and he ends up running into the stripper, and he goes, I want you to teach me everything you know about sex. And he handles all her accounts for her. She's got all these money problems, so he helps her out with the accounting department. In the meantime, she teaches him how, all this stuff about sex, about being in your power as a sexual man, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. So anyhow, it finally gets to his ex-girlfriend, Emily Hampshire, and she finally gets jealous, and she goes over to the vacation place, right? Where are you? Blah, blah, blah. And she gets all jealous and all this stuff. And in the end, he finally realizes that she's right, and we don't belong together, and he moves on to another relation, or just moves on. Period. So anyhow, Redemption, Jason Stratham and Agata Buzek. Let me see. Team. I'll tell you here in a second. Time out. Jason Stratham is like this war hero from the Vietnam War, or just war, and he comes back and he finds himself homeless, living in homeless shelters, right? And but he's like a badass. He can really, he's really trained pretty hardcore to be an assassin. So anyhow, he goes to this soup kitchen that's run by some Catholic place, and who is Agata Buzek, I think. But anyhow, he has the hots for one of the nuns, and it turns out she ended up killing somebody else in prior to in her past, and so they end up hooking up at the end, blah blah blah. And he ends up in this place, some rich guy's place, who's on vacation, and he takes over the place and lives there for like 4 weeks or whatever, and operates out of there doing all this stuff, getting back at some of these thugs that are like mafia. They go and beat people up and take their money and all this stuff. So he ends up going and kicking their ass. But that's fun. Drive, Ryan Gosling, Carey Mulligan, Bryan Cranston, Albert Brooks, Oscar Isaac, Ron Perlman, Christina Hendricks. This guy Ryan Gosling, he's a driver. He's driver for stunts, right? A stunt car driver. And so he does all these gigs, and then on the side he does these other gigs where he charges people so much money. He gives them. He's a runaway driver for them. They go rob whoever or whatever, and then he gives them 5 minutes, and then they jump off, and he gets away, right? He outruns all these cops and all this other stuff, and then but somehow Carey Mulligan's husband gets out. He's in prison, right? And so somehow he meets her at a restaurant or something like that. But anyhow, that she turns out to be his neighbor, and so they do all this stuff. She's got a kid, and then the husband gets out of prison, and he owes these thugs money, and then they charge like outrageous amount of interest on that money, and so they tell him, you got to go rob these people. So he goes and robs them, and he gets killed, and then Ryan Gosling goes after the people that kill him, and it was just a whole drama filled with violence and whatever else, but and of course Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan end up getting together, and that's besides the point. So anyhow, Abduction, Sigourney Weaver, Maria Bello, Lily Collins, Taylor Lautner, Alfred Molina, Jason Isaacs. Let's see, 2011. Let me see. Time out. Oh, now that was kind of interesting, except I don't know, it just was lackluster in some areas. There wasn't enough detail. It was kind of confusing, I think, maybe. But let me see. What's that guy's? Taylor Lautner is apparently, his parents are in the CIA or something like that. So something happens, and the mother gets killed, and then the father, they send him somewhere else to go do all this research on all this stuff, and he, he's not one of those kind of guys that can be a father. So they set up Taylor Lautner with fake parents that are actually CIA agents, and who take care of him his whole life, right? And so he finds out that he's those aren't his parents, because somehow he ends up on this missing kids website, and he ends up figuring out. But the people that are running the website are actually mobsters, or the mob or something like that. I don't know what, but anyhow, so it was a place. It was like a ploy to find him. So he fills out his information, and all of a sudden they start looking for him. They kill the parents, the fake parents, and him and his friend, I think Lily Collins or Maria Bello, I can't remember, one of them. They end up running, and they're confused because they don't know who their good they don't know who the good guy is, right? They're talking the CIA, and they don't know if there's a mole in the CIA or these gangsters, and they're trying to kill him. And apparently there is a mole in the CIA, and I think he happens to be the lieutenant or something. And so anyhow, he ends up getting caught in all this, and they finally end up catching these mobsters as well. So anyhow, interesting story. Happy Feet number 2, Elijah Wood, Robin Williams, Hank Azaria, Pink, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Sofia Vergara, Hugo Weaving, Common. No, some chick is called Common. I don't know. It's not gonna, none of my business. Richard Carter. So anyhow, it was interesting. They had a lot of music in it, some dancing, more about penguins flying than anything. It was a fun movie to watch, but the first one was funner. It was more exciting and more interesting, more exhilarating, I think is a good word, than the first one. So anyhow, MILF, Jack Colson, Philip Marlott, Amy Lindsay, Jamie Bernadette. This was a funny movie, and it had some interesting music, some good music in it, I think. But these geeks, right? They're college geeks. They can't get laid, with any of the college women. So they somehow they end up figuring out that MILFs, mothers, I'd like to format, I think is a good word, but that's besides the point. So anyhow, they figure out that MILFs are a lot easier and funner, and it's a good match because they're looking for somebody and the geeks are looking for somebody, so they get hooked up with each other and they have lots of fun. So there's a lot of funny stuff in it, and it's interesting, how women think at times, but that's besides the point. Are we there yet? Ice Cube, Nia Long, Alicia Allen, Philip, Daniel Bolden. Oh my God, that was a funny movie. And that was a good movie for Ice Cube. But he somehow ends up getting hooked up with Nia Long. Her car gets smashed or something happens to her car, so he ends up giving her rides to and from work. She works near him or in the same office. I don't remember. But Alicia Allen and Philip Daniel Bolden are her kids. She's got these two. I don't think they're even teenage, like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and they have this pattern of screwing with all the men that their mom goes out with, right? They're jealous and they don't want her to go out with anybody unless he's the perfect guy. And when's the woman going to find the perfect guy? Well, whatever. So anyhow, she ends up going on this trip, and she wants the kids to go on the trip because they're going to have some kind of a holiday thing or whatever. So he goes, well, I'll take them there. So they end up not being able to go on the airplane for some, I don't know, they get kicked out or something obnoxious happens. And so he goes, okay, I'll drive you. Oh my God, Ice Cube is in for a ride. That's all I got to say, right? Resident Evil, the first one that they ever made, 2002. Mila Jovovich, Michelle Rodriguez, Ryan McCluskey, about this virus that they create, this company, this corporation creates in this underground place or whatever, and somebody, again, another revolutionary group, they end up going to, something happens, and the revolutionary people end up getting the cure to the virus and the virus or whatever, and everybody gets killed in the place, in the corporation, right? And so somehow Mila Jovovich and Michelle Rodriguez and Ryan McCluskey, I think, are cops. They're the corporate cops to come in, and they're there to clean up the place. And so they end up the virus turns the people into zombies, and so the brawl is on, right? So it's like that, and they have all this weird machinery, security systems. Oh my God, some of the stuff is pretty outrageous. So the technology in this movie is pretty outrageous. But that's one. Rules of Engagement with Samuel L. Jackson, Tommy Lee Jones, Guy Pearce, Ben Kingsley, Bruce Greenwood, Blair Underwood, Ann Archer. Is that it? Okay, Ann Archer. Again, 2000. It came out in 2000. This is the other movie I was telling you about that I don't know if they have information about this guy who gets sent out to again, Iraq, one of those Middle Eastern places or whatever, and they're getting shot at, right? And nobody can see it down into the ground who's shooting except L. Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson, who's running the show. So he looks down and he can see civilians, all these people shooting from in the crowd, shooting and killing some of his people. So he gives they're there to save the ambassadors, so that they go in there and grab the ambassador and his family, and they get him out of there safely. And the ambassador goes, oh yeah, Ben Kingsley, I think. We'll always remember this. We'll never forget this. Blah 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 blah. So he goes and gives them the flag, grabs the flag and gives it to them, and they take off. And then meantime, some of his troops are getting killed. So he looks down. He goes, okay, everyone fire. So he gives the order, and one of the guys goes, well, are you sure you want to do that? There's civilians and kids down there. Fire. Because even some of the kids are holding guns and shooting, right? So he all of a sudden they just massacre like 80 plus people, and then they afterwards, of course, Samuel L. Jackson goes to court, ends up getting not indicted, but he was charged with murder of 83 people or whatever, and in the end, I think one of the senators was in on it, they had a tape of that would have exonerated him, and the senator, I think himself, went and burned it and got rid of the evidence. And so in the end, he still ended up getting going to jail or prison, and then he was exonerated and he was let go and whatever else with honorable discharge, I think. But that wasn't that movie. And if you look on the internet, there's information about this guy. They showed the real person that was the movie was all about. And then at the end of the movie, it says, well, these names and events were all fictitious. So is it based on true events? I don't know. You'll have to talk to the people that made the movie. That's all I gotta say. So anyhow, that came out in 2000. Very intense movie, very interesting. But I don't know. Somehow, it just I don't know if it got any Academy Awards, but maybe it was close to there. But I think somehow there, the movie, the music could have made a difference. Probably, maybe the script could have been different. I think that would have been more engaging, more surreal. I don't know. But anyhow, Enemy of the State with Will Smith, Gene Hackman, John Voight, Lisa Bonet, Regina King, and Stuart Wilson. That's an old movie. Back in 1998. What was it? I'll tell you here in a second. Time out. Tell me. Gene Hackman is an NSA operative, and I think he goes AWOL or something, and so he's in hiding, and then there's this cover-up assassin. The senator is murdered, right? At the beginning, and because they want to pass this bill, or I think they want to pass this bill because it's going to help produce all this money for some corporation or something. It's one of those money laundering or money schemes where there's going to be a lot of money made if this bill passes. So, is that the same with all the other bills in our country? I don't know. That you got to ask that. Is every bill out there in this country passed to make money for corporations? Is that how it is? I don't know. I got to ask that. So anyhow, Will Smith ends up with the evidence. Some guy, I think a friend or an acquaintance of him, ends up in the same place, some kind of shop. He's out buying lingerie or something for his wife for her anniversary or something like that, and he ends up giving it to this information the video, because somehow there's a video taking care of the murder, and he ends up with the video, and so there's all this cat mouse type of thing, chase going on all throughout the movie, very intense. And do these guys actually stop and eat and go to the bathroom? I don't know, man. It was so intense. It was like one intense scene after another. Like, what the hell? So anyhow, it was like that. But it was interesting to watch anyhow, and it's an older movie as well. So I think that had if it was remade and made it into the a version into the now in a 2019 version, it probably would be a lot more interesting and a lot more special effects going on and so forth. I don't know. But anyhow, the Karate Kid Part 2, Ralph Macchio, Noriyuki, Pat Morita, Danny Kona, Nabu McCarthy, Tamlin Nomita. Interesting movie. The first one, Karate Kid Part 1, was the best by far. It was interesting. This kid hero kicks some guy's butt, blah blah blah, and then they go overseas, and now it's taken into new international territory, and so this ongoing fight goes on with this other guy, this rival that Ralph, no, not Ralph, but Noriyuki Morita is his rival. He has to confront him and face him, and so all this stuff goes on. Revenge, blah blah blah. Revenge is just not. In fact, the rest of the movies are all one thumb up. In fact, Lakeview Terrace, I couldn't even finish watching. It's all about revenge. Me. Just I'm a cop. I'm a badass. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And then this other guy, and then even with Samuel L. Jackson, Patrick Wilson, Kerry Washington, and Patrick Wilson too. I'm a Mr. Stud. This is macho. Oh, the macho stuff. It's good to be a man, and when you're a man, you need to be a man that you know how to be a man, and that means standing in your power, being in your power, and just being solid, rock solid, like a rock, right? Like the rock of Gibraltar. But to be arrogant and obnoxious as part of that process is a whole different ballgame. And being macho is just, I think there's a line that's Aloha Elizabeth. Thanks for stopping by. There's a line that's to be drawn between being a macho and being arrogant and being a bully, and being a man, a male, like the energy of male, and being in your power, and being confident, right? And being a diplomat. That's a whole different ballgame. So and the difference is in listening skills. The arrogant, pushy, aggressive, macho guys listen to only what they want to hear, but the diplomatic, confident, professional guy hears and listens to everything that's going on, everything that's being said, not just what they want to hear. So there's it's a big difference. Anyhow, Lakeview Terrace was I'm gonna kick your butt, you're gonna kick my butt, type of thing, and I couldn't even finish watching it. It was obnoxious. So and then there's Taxi Driver. Now that's an old movie. Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster, Sybil Shepherd, and about this taxi driver, Robert De Niro being a taxi driver. He gets his job, and he there's not much of a life going on other than I'm gonna make some money, and I can't remember what, but it just wasn't very interesting at all. And I think that taxi drivers' lives aren't really boring unless they're just that way. But no matter what kind of job you do, there's always something interesting to do, innovative. There's always a way to be productive, creative, and of service. And if you're doing that all the time, every day of your life, I guarantee you, no taxi driver's job is going to be boring. Not even, and it just seemed kind of boring. He gets hung up on Sybil Shepherd, who works for some kind of candidate that he's running for some kind of political position, and she's working in the office, and he gets hooked up on her and asks her out, whatever. So anyhow, but it was an old movie too, and if you can imagine how people thought in that day and age, man, wow, how basic instinct is that? But that's besides the point. 1989, The Karate Kid Part 3, Ralph Macchio, Noriki, Pat Morita, Robin Lee. I couldn't even finish watching that movie. It was just so lame. So anyhow, Haywire, Gina Carano, Bill Paxton. That was 2012. Channing Tatum, Antonio Banderas, Michael Douglas, Ewan McGregor, Michael Fassbender. Some woman, and if a badass woman comes up and confronts a badass guy, the guy's probably, and they're equal in terms of fighting skills, the guy's probably going to win. Why? Because he weighs more than she does. So if they're equal in fighting skills, he's gonna kick her ass. So Gina is not a really big person, and she's kicking all these guys' asses, blah blah blah, and they train her to be a CIA operative, and they somehow they want her killed or something like that. But it just wasn't a very. I don't even know if I watched the whole movie. Maybe I did, but it just wasn't that exhilarating at all. So. I think maybe I did finish watching it, but I just wasn't impressed at all. So, anyhow, that's the final countdown. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Have an awesome Halloween. Again, if you happen to download the Dia de los Muertos prayer form, you can send it to me or do the ceremonies on your own and burn it on your own. But I would advise you to do it, and you'll find your life will shift, probably in a good way and in a better way, and even just doing that alone is a nice gesture for all those people that have already departed and moved on. So, thanks for stopping by. Have a God Goddess week. Be the love that you are, always have been, and always will be. Aloha.